The Veltri station floated in the darkness of space like a metal flower. Ships came and went every hour. Traders, soldiers, and travelers from 100 different worlds passed through its long hallways. It was a place where species who hated each other learned to walk side by side. At least, that was what the brochures said. Park Joon-ho guided his old freighter toward the docking bay. The ship was called the Songbird, and it had seen better days. The paint was chipped. The engines made strange sounds, but it flew, and that was enough. Joon-ho had been a cargo captain for 20 years. He knew every trade route between Earth and the outer colonies. He knew which stations had good food and which ones would rob you blind. Today, he was not alone. His daughter sat in the co-pilot's seat, her small feet dangling above the floor. Park Bora was 8 years old. She had her mother's eyes and her father's stubborn chin. School was on break, and she had begged him for weeks to take her on a trip. Just one trip, she said. Just to see the stars up close. Junho could never say no to her. Appa, look. Bora pressed her face against the window. That ship is huge. Joon-ho smiled. That is a Corvani warship. They are not friendly people. Stay close to me on the station, okay? Bora nodded, but her eyes were still wide with wonder. Everything was new to her. Everything was magic. The Songbird landed with a gentle thump. Joon-ho took Bora's hand and led her through the airlock. The station's air smelled like metal and cleaning chemicals. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past them. Some had scales. Some had too many eyes. A few looked almost human, but not quite. Bora held her father's hand tighter. They reached the customs checkpoint. A Corvani officer stood behind the desk. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with hard blue armor that grew from her own body like a shell. Her eyes were black and empty. Her name was Commander Illith, and she looked at humans the way most people looked at insects. Papers, she said. Her voice was cold. Junho handed over the documents. Illith scanned them slowly, taking her time. She enjoyed making humans wait. Your cargo will be inspected, she said. Wait here, Joon-ho sighed. This would take hours. He looked down at Bora. She was shifting from foot to foot, bored already. Bora, do you see that window over there? He pointed to an observation deck nearby. You can watch the ships from there. Stay where I can see you, okay? Okay, Appa. She ran off, her little shoes making soft sounds on the metal floor. Junho watched her go. She stopped at the window and pressed her hands against the glass. A large cargo ship was passing by. She waved at it like the crew could see her. He turned back to deal with the paperwork commander. Illith finished her inspection and stepped away from the desk. She had other duties to attend to. Weak species always brought problems to the station. Humans were the worst. They came from a death world, a planet so dangerous that most species could not survive there for a day, and yet they acted like they belonged among civilized races. Illith walked through the hallway. Her armored feet clicked against the floor. Other aliens moved out of her way quickly. The Corvani Empire was powerful. No one wanted trouble with them. She turned a corner and stopped. Hey. Human child stood at the observation window, small, weak, alone. Illith felt disgust rise in her throat. Human children were even worse than human adults. They were loud and messy and had no respect for their betters. She approached the child. You, what are you doing here? Bora turned around. She looked up at the tall alien with wide eyes. She had never seen a Corvani up close before. The officer was scary, but Bora's father had taught her to be polite to everyone. I am watching the ships, Bora said. They are very pretty. This area is not for creatures like you, Illith said. Bow and apologize for being in my presence. Bora did not understand. She had never bowed to anyone except her grandparents. She tried to do a small bow, but it was clumsy and quick. Illith's eyes narrowed. You mock me? No, The blow came without warning. Illith struck the child with her armored hand. The force sent Bora flying across the floor. She crashed into the wall with a terrible sound. Her arm bent the wrong way. Blood began to pour from deep cuts on her face, where the sharp edges of Illith's armor had torn through skin. Bora screamed. Other aliens in the hallway stopped and stared. No one moved to help. The Corvani were too powerful. No one wanted to get involved. Illith looked down at the crying child. Let this be a lesson. Humans should learn their place. She walked away without looking back. Junho heard his daughter's scream. His heart stopped. He ran. When he found her, his world ended. Bora lay on the floor in a pool of blood. Her arm was broken in 2 places. Her face was torn open. She was crying, but the sound was getting weaker. Bora. Junho fell to his knees beside her. He tried to stop the bleeding with his hands, but there was so much blood. Someone help me. He screamed. Please. She needs a doctor. The station medics came. They looked at the child, then looked at each other. We cannot help without Corvani approval, one of them said. The officer said the child attacked her. We must wait for investigation. Junho stared at them. His daughter was dying and they were talking about investigations. Something broke inside him. He picked up Bora in his arms. She was so light, so small. Her blood soaked into his shirt. He carried her back to the songbird. Every step felt like a knife in his chest. He put her in the medical pod. It was old technology, but it would keep her alive, barely. Then he sat at the communication console. His hands were still covered in his daughter's blood. He typed a message. It was short. It went to a frequency that most people did not know existed, the message said. They hurt my daughter. Send the wolves. He pressed send. Somewhere on Earth, a light began to blink. Deep beneath the mountains of Earth, there was a place that did not exist on any map. The hallways were made of gray concrete. The lights were always dim. The people who worked there had no names, only code numbers. This was the home of Fenrir Unit, the wolves that humanity kept hidden from the galaxy. Admiral Choi Sung-ho sat in his office, reading the message that had arrived 3 hours ago. He had read it 12 times. Each time, he felt the same cold anger building in his chest. They hurt my daughter. Send the wolves. The message came from Park Junho. Sung-ho knew the name. Junho was a civilian cargo captain, but his brother had served in the military. His brother had died protecting a colony from pirates. The Park family had given enough to Earth. They should not have to give more. Sung-ho pressed a button on his desk. Get me Captain Yoon now. 10 minutes later, a man walked into the office. Captain Yoon Tai-ho was not tall, but he filled the room with his presence. His face was calm, almost peaceful. His eyes were not. They were the eyes of a predator waiting for the hunt. Admiral Tai-ho said. You called sit down, Captain? Tai-ho sat. He noticed the message on the Admiral's screen, but said nothing. Sung-ho turned the screen toward him. 3 days ago, a Corvani officer attacked a human child on Veltri's station. The child is 8 years old. Her name is Park Bora. She is in critical condition. The Corvani claims she threatened the officer. Tai-ho's expression did not change. An 8-year-old threatened an armored Corvani commander? That is their story, and the council. Sung-ho's jaw tightened. They refused to intervene. The Corvani are too important. They offered us compensation. Money. As if that child's blood has a price. Tai-ho was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, where is the officer now? Her name is Commander Illith. She was promoted for maintaining order on the station. She has been transferred to the Corvani flagship Talon of Supremacy. Promoted, Tai-ho repeated. The word tasted like poison. Sung-ho leaned forward. I am giving you a mission, Captain. It will not be recorded. It will not be acknowledged. If you are caught, Earth will deny everything. Do you understand? I understand. Find Commander Illith. Make an example of her. Then deliver that example to the Galactic Council. I want every species in this galaxy to know what happens when they touch our children. I hosted up. When do we leave? Tonight, the briefing room was cold. 4 people sat around a metal table, waiting. They were the best soldiers humanity had ever made, and they were also ghosts. Their names were erased from official records. Their families thought they were dead. They lived only for the mission. Captain Taiho walked in. He did not greet them. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared above the table. It showed a Corvani officer with blue armor and black eyes. "This is our target," Taiho said. "Commander Illith. 3 days ago, she beat an 8-year-old human girl nearly to death." The girl's crime was not bowing correctly. Lieutenant Kim Hannah studied the image. She was the team's intelligence specialist, a woman who could become anyone and go anywhere. Her face was forgettable on purpose. Her skills were not. "She is on a flagship," Hannah said. "That will be difficult." "Difficult is what we do." Sergeant Beek Minho sat in the corner. He was a big man, built like a bear. He handled heavy weapons and explosives. Most people thought he was slow because he was quiet. They were wrong. He was just patient. Minho pulled out a small photograph from his pocket. It showed a little girl with a bright smile. His daughter. She was 7 years old. She lived with her grandmother and thought her father was a construction worker overseas. "How old did you say the victim was?" Minho asked. 8. Minho put the photograph away. His hands were steady, but his eyes had changed. "When do we leave?" Corporal Shin Yuna leaned back in her chair. She was the youngest of the team, only 26. She was their pilot, and she could fly anything from a cargo shuttle to a stolen warship. She had a quick smile and a quicker temper. "So we are going to sneak onto a Corvani flagship, find this officer, kill her, cut off her head and deliver it to the council?" Yuna said. "Yes," Taiho replied. Yuna grinned. "I like it." Taiho pulled up more holograms. Ship layouts, patrol routes, security protocols. The team studied them in silence. This was what they did. This was who they were. They found the monsters that hurt humanity, and they made those monsters disappear. After an hour, Taiho turned off the holograms. "Any questions?" Hannah spoke first. "The galaxy will know it was us. There will be consequences." "Let them come," Taiho said. "They need to learn. We are not like other species. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. Earthquakes, volcanoes, ice ages, predators, disease. We survived all of it. We did not become soft. We became dangerous." He looked at each of them. "The Corvani think they are the strongest species in the galaxy. They think they can hurt our children and walk away. They are wrong. Tonight, we remind the universe why they call Earth a death world." Minho stood up. For the girl, the others repeated. They walked to the hangar. Their ship waited for them. It was called the Silent Howl, a stealth corvette painted black as space itself. It had no official registration. It had no weapons on paper. In reality, it carried enough firepower to level a small city. Yuna climbed into the pilot's seat. The others took their positions. The engines hummed to life. Admiral Sunho's voice came through the radio. "Good hunting, wolves." Taiho looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a little girl lay in a hospital bed, fighting for her life. Somewhere out there, a monster was celebrating her promotion, not for long. "Take us out," Taiho said. The silent howl rose from Earth and vanished into the darkness. The hunt had begun. The silent howl moved through space like a shadow. No lights, no signals. Just a dark shape against the endless black. Inside, the team worked in silence. They had been traveling for 6 days, jumping from system to system, always staying one step ahead of Corvani patrols. Captain Taiho stood at the main console, studying star maps. The Talon of Supremacy had changed course twice since they left Earth. Commander Illith was not making this easy, but nothing worth doing was ever easy. Lieutenant Hannah sat in the corner, listening to intercepted Corvani transmissions. She had learned their language years ago, back when she was still in training. She could speak it without an accent. She could think in it if she needed to. Right now, she was using it to find their target. "I have something," Hannah said. The others gathered around her station. She played the transmission. A Corvani voice filled the room, speaking in clicks and hisses that only Hannah could understand. The flagship will dock at Corveth Prime Shipyard in 4 days, Hannah translated. They need repairs and resupply. The docking will take 6 hours. Taiho nodded slowly. 6 hours. That is our window. It is not much time, Yuna said. Corveth Prime is deep in their territory. If something goes wrong, there is no backup. Nothing will go wrong, Taiho replied. Sergeant Minho was cleaning his rifle. He did this whenever he was thinking. The movements were automatic, practiced 1,000 times. His hands knew what to do even when his mind was somewhere else. The shipyard will have heavy security, Minho said. Patrols, scanners, guard stations. We will need to be ghosts. We're ghosts, Taiho said. That is what we do. The next 3 days passed slowly. They ran simulations. They studied the flagship's layout until they could walk its hallways with their eyes closed. They checked their weapons and equipment again and again. There was no room for mistakes. On the second night, Hannah went to the supply station in the Varath system. She wore the clothes of a merchant and carried fake documents. Her face was different, changed by small implants that shifted her features. She walked among aliens who would kill her if they knew what she really was. She found a Corvani trader in a bar. He was drunk and lonely and happy to talk to someone who listened. Hannah bought him drinks and laughed at his jokes. By the end of the night, she knew the security codes for the shipyard's outer sensors. She returned to the silent howl before dawn. No one had noticed her. No one ever did. On the third night, Minho sat alone in the cargo bay. He was looking at the photograph of his daughter again. Her name was Somi. She had just turned 7. She liked to draw pictures of animals and send them to her father. She did not know that her father killed people for a living. Taiho found him there. He sat down beside a sergeant without speaking. They watched the stars through the small window. I keep thinking about the girl, Minho said finally. Bora, she is only a year older than Somi. Taiho nodded. What kind of creature hurts a child like that? Minho continued. What kind of monster looks at a little girl and sees something to destroy? The kind of monster we hunt, Taiho said. Minho put the photograph away. I joined this unit because I wanted to protect people. My family, my country, my species. But sometimes I wonder if we are losing something. If we are becoming monsters ourselves. Taiho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, there is a difference between us and them. We do not hurt the innocent. We do not attack the weak. We only kill the ones who deserve it. As long as we remember that difference, we are not monsters. We are guardians. Minho looked at his captain. Do you really believe that? I have to, Taiho said. Otherwise, none of this means anything. The 4th day came. Corveth Prime appeared on their screens, a gray world orbiting a dying sun. The shipyard floated above it like a metal crown, and there, docked at the main platform, was the Talon of Supremacy. The flagship was massive, 2 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, home to over 2,000 Corvani soldiers. It was one of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Yuna whistled softly. That is a big ship. Big ships have big blind spots, Hannah said. Taiho pointed to a section of the shipyard. There, asteroid debris from the mining operations. We use it as cover. Yuna, can you get us through? Yuna cracked her knuckles. I can fly through anything.
8.
The silent howl dove into the asteroid field like a fish swimming through coral. Rocks the size of buildings tumbled past them. One wrong move would mean instant death. Yuna moved the controls with perfect precision, her eyes never blinking. The others held their breath. Even Taiho gripped his seat. 20 minutes later, they emerged on the other side. The shipyard was directly ahead. The flagship sat there, waiting. We are in position, Yuna announced. They have not detected us. Taiho stood up. Get your gear. We breach in 1 hour. The team moved to the armory. They put on their combat suits, black armor that absorbed light and made them nearly invisible. They checked their weapons one last time. Knives, pistols, rifles, grenades. Everything was. Minho attached explosives to his belt. Not enough to destroy the ship, but enough to seal doors and block escape routes. He had planned every charge with care. Hannah loaded her hacking tools. She would be the team's eyes and ears inside the ship. She would control the cameras and alarms. She would make them invisible. Una stayed at the pilot's seat. Her job was to wait and keep the ship ready. If things went bad, she would be their only way out. Taiho stood at the airlock. He looked at his team, the 3 people he trusted more than anyone in the universe. "We go in quiet," he said. "We find the target. We complete the mission. And we come home." "Understood?" "Understood," they replied. The airlock opened. Cold space waited outside. The flagship loomed before them, lights flickering in thousands of windows. Somewhere inside that ship, Commander Illith was sleeping peacefully. She did not know that death was coming. She did not know that the wolves had found her. Taiho pushed off from the ship and floated toward the wall ship. The hunt was almost over. The maintenance hatch opened without a sound. Taiho pulled himself inside, followed by Minho and Hannah. The darkness of the corridor swallowed them whole. They'd entered the belly of the beast. The air inside the flagship was warm and smelled strange, like burnt metal and something alive. The walls were covered with patterns that glowed faintly blue. Corvani ships were built for Corvani bodies, and humans did not belong here. That was exactly why they had come. Hannah plugged her device into a wall panel. Her fingers moved fast, typing codes and breaking through security walls. Within seconds, she had control of the ship's internal cameras. "I can see everything," she whispered. "The target is in the officer quarters, deck 7. There are 4 guards outside her door." "Patrols?" Taiho asked. 2 teams of 6. They pass this corridor every 12 minutes. "We have a window." Taiho nodded. "Minho, set charges at junction points. If we need to seal sections, I want to be ready." Minho moved into the shadows. He placed small explosives at key points along the walls, hidden where no one would see them. Each charge was connected to a remote trigger in his pocket. One press, and doors would seal. Enemies would be trapped. Escape would be impossible. The team moved deeper into the ship. They walked like ghosts, their footsteps making no sound. When guards approached, they melted into the darkness. When cameras turned their way, Hannah made them show empty hallways. The Corvani had built a fortress. They had not expected wolves to find a way inside. On deck 5, they ran into trouble. A young Corvani soldier stepped out of a doorway, almost bumping into Hannah. He was not supposed to be there. He was probably lost or taking a break from his duties. His eyes went wide when he saw the humans. He opened his mouth to scream. Minho was faster. His hand closed around the soldier's throat. There was a quick, quiet snap. The soldier went limp. Minho lowered the body to the ground gently, almost respectfully. "Sorry," he murmured. "Wrong place, wrong time." They hid the body in a storage closet and kept moving. Deck 6. Deck 7. The officer quarters were ahead. The hallway was wide and well lit, with thick doors on each side. Important people lived here. Commanders, generals, the ones who gave orders and never had to follow them. Hannah pointed to the 4th door on the left. "That is her room. The guards are around the corner. I will handle them," Taiho said. He moved forward, alone. His knife was in his hand, a blade made of black metal that did not reflect light. He turned the corner. 4 guards stood at attention, their weapons ready. They saw a shadow coming toward them. They did not have time to understand what it was. Taiho struck like lightning. The first guard fell before he could raise his weapon. The second tried to shout, but the knife was already in his throat. The third swung his rifle, but Taiho ducked under it and drove the blade into his chest. The fourth reached for his radio. Minho appeared behind him and broke his neck. 4 bodies hit the floor in less than 5 seconds. The hallway was silent again. Taiho looked at the door. Commander Illith was on the other side, sleeping in her bed, dreaming of promotions and glory. She had no idea that judgment had arrived. "Breach it," Taiho said. Minho placed a small charge on the door lock. It made a soft pop, and the door slid open. The room inside was large and comfortable. Silks hung from the ceiling. Strange plants grew in pots near the window. A bed sat in the center, covered with expensive blankets. Commander Illith woke up. She saw the humans standing in her doorway. For a moment, she did not understand. Humans on her ship. Impossible. This had to be a dream. Then she saw the blood on their armor. She knew it was real. She reached for the weapon under her pillow. Tai-Ho crossed the room in 3 steps. His hand caught her arm before she could grab the gun. He twisted, and her armored elbow shattered with a loud crack. Illith screamed. "Quiet," Tai-Ho said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "We need to talk." He pushed her down onto the bed. She clutched her broken arm, black blood leaking between her fingers. Her eyes were full of pain and rage. "Do you know who I am?" She hissed. "I am a commander of the Corvani Empire. You will die for this. Your whole species will burn." Tai-Ho reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small screen and held it in front of her face. The screen showed a video. A little girl standing at a window, watching ships fly by. A Corvani officer approaching her. A blow that sent the child flying across the floor. Illith watched her own crime play back at her. "Her name is Park Bora," Tai-Ho said. "She is 8 years old. She wanted to see the stars. You broke her arm in 3 places. You cut her face so deeply that she will have scars for the rest of her life. Do you remember her?" Illith's eyes flickered. She disrespected me. She did not bow properly. I was within my rights. She is a child. She is human. You are all animals. Deathworld savages who should have stayed in your caves." Tai-Ho put the screen away. His face showed nothing. No anger, no hate. Just cold, empty purpose. "Call us savages," he said. "You are right. We are savages. We come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. We fought monsters with our bare hands. We survived ice ages with nothing but fire and stone. We are the most dangerous species in this galaxy, and you touched one of our children." He leaned closer. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Now, you will learn what that means." Illith tried to bargain. She offered money, power, information. She said she could give them anything they wanted. When that did not work, she threatened them. The Corvani fleet would hunt them down. Earth would burn. Every human would die screaming. When the threats did not work, she begged. "Please," she whispered. "Please, I was just doing my duty. I did not know. Please do not kill me." Tai-Ho looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Did she beg? The little girl you beat? Did she ask you to stop?" Illith had no answer. Tai-Ho stood up straight. He drew his blade. "This is for Bora." The execution was quick. One clean strike. Illith's body slumped forward. Her head rolled to the floor and stopped at Minho's feet. Minho picked it up and placed it in a stasis container. The container was marked with the symbol of Earth and a single message: "Justice for Park Bora." Hannah was at the wall, writing something in Corvani's script. When she finished, she stepped back. The words glowed red against the dark metal. "Deathworlders, remember." Tai-Ho looked at his team. "Let us go home." They moved back through the ship like shadows. Behind them, alarms began to wail. Guards ran through the hallways, searching for intruders who were already gone. By the time they found Illith's body, the humans were floating through space toward the silent howl. Una pulled them aboard and hit the engines. The stealth corvette vanished into the asteroid field just as Corvani fighters launched from the shipyard. They did not find anything. The wolves had disappeared into the night, carrying their trophy with them. The Galactic Council chambers floated in the heart of neutral space. The station was called Concord Prime, and it was the largest structure ever built by any species. Representatives from 200 worlds gathered here to argue, negotiate, and pretend they did not hate each other. Today the chambers were full. Every seat was taken. Every eye was watching. The Corvani High Admiral stood at the center platform. His name was Vector, and he was furious. His blue armor pulsed with angry light. His voice echoed through the massive room like thunder.
Oh.
This is an act of war, he shouted. Human assassins invaded our flagship. They murdered a decorated officer in her sleep. We demand justice. We demand blood. The other species watched in silence. Some looked worried. Others looked curious. A few, the ones who had suffered under Corvani power for centuries, looked almost pleased. Human Ambassador Li Guan sat in her designated chair. She was an older woman, with silver hair and a face that showed nothing. She had served Earth for 40 years. She had negotiated with tyrants and monsters. She had never blinked. She did not blink now. High Admiral, she said calmly, perhaps you should tell the Council what your decorated officer did to earn her decoration.
Vector
turned to face her. Commander Illith maintained order on Veltry's station. She enforced the law. She beat an 8-year-old child nearly to death. Shh. Guan's voice was ice. The child's crime was not bowing correctly. Your officer shattered her arm and tore open her face. Then your government promoted her for it. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many species had suffered from Corvani cruelty. They knew this story was true. The child was human, Vector said. Humans are what? Guan stood up slowly. Animals. Savages. Lesser beings who do not deserve protection? Is that what you're going to say, High Admiral? Vector's eyes narrowed. You have no evidence of Guan pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the center platform. It showed a little girl standing at a window. It showed a Corvani officer striking her down. It showed blood spreading across the floor. The chamber went silent. This is Park Bora, Guan said. She is 8 years old. She traveled with her father to see the stars. This is what your officer did to her. This is what your empire rewarded. Before Vector could respond, an alarm sounded. One of the Corvani aides rushed to his side and whispered something in his ear. Vector's face changed. The anger drained away, replaced by something else. Fear. What is it? Someone asked. Va Cater looked at the council. His voice was quieter now. A human shuttle just delivered something to our flagship outside the station. A container. Guan smiled. It was not a warm smile. Open it. Hologram changed. It now showed the inside of a cargo container. There, resting on a cushion of silk, was the head of Commander Illith. Her black eyes were still open. Her mouth was frozen in a final scream. Beside the head was a note. The camera zoomed in so everyone could read it. You hurt a child. You laughed about it. You thought being strong made you untouchable. We are humans. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day, and we won. You are not stronger than our planet. You are not stronger than us. Touch our children again, and we will not stop at one head. We will take your worlds. The chamber erupted. Some species shouted in anger. Others shouted in shock. A few, the ones who had been bullied by the Corvani for generations, shouted in something that sounded almost like joy. Vector slammed his hand on the podium. This is murder. This is terrorism. The Council must condemn Earth. We demand a unified response against these Death World barbarians. He looked around the room, waiting for support. No one spoke. Well? Vector demanded. Who stands with the Corvani Empire? Who will join us in punishing these human animals? Silence. One by one, the representatives looked away. The powerful species did not want war with humans. The weak species did not want to support the bullies who had oppressed them. No one wanted to be the first to stand beside a government that beat children and rewarded the beaters. Vector was alone. Qin stepped forward. Her voice was calm and clear. The child, Bora Park, survived. She will carry scars for the rest of her life. Commander Illith faced the same justice she showed that little girl. None. She hurt an innocent. She laughed about it. And now she has paid the price. She looked at Vector directly. We did not start this. Your officer did. We did not ask for war. Your empire did when it touched our children. But know this. If you want a war with Earth, you will have one. And you will lose. Vector opened his mouth to respond, but nothing came out. He looked around the silent chamber at all the species who refused to meet his eyes. He looked at the head of his officer on the screen. He looked at the human woman who stood before him without fear. For the first time in his long career, High Admiral Vector understood what the Corvani had done. They had poked a sleeping monster, and the monster had woken up. He turned and left the chamber without another word. The crisis passed. The Corvani filed formal complaints, but they did not declare war. They sent angry messages, but they did not attack. They had seen what humans could do, and they were afraid. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Species who had never cared about Earth before now paid attention. Traders told the tale in bars on distant stations. Soldiers whispered it in barracks on 100 worlds. Parents told their children at bedtime, "Never touch a human child. The Deathworlders do not forgive." Bora Park woke up in a hospital on Earth. The room was white and clean. Flowers sat on the table beside her bed. Her father was holding her hand. "Papa," she said. Her voice was small and tired. "What happened? Did I sleep a long time?" Junho smiled, but there were tears in his eyes. "You slept for a while, sweetheart. But you are safe now. You are home." Bora touched her face. She felt the bandages covering the scars that would never fully heal. "The alien lady. She was so angry at me. I tried to bow, but I did not know how. Did I do something wrong?" Junho squeezed her hand. "No, baby. You did nothing wrong. She was a bad person, and she will never hurt anyone again." "She got in trouble?" "Yes, she got in trouble." Aura nodded slowly. She was too young to understand everything that had happened. She did not know about the secret soldiers who had crossed the galaxy for her. She did not know about the message that had shaken 100 worlds. She only knew that she was safe, and her father was here. And outside the window the sun was shining. That was enough. Somewhere far away, Captain Yun Tai-ho stood on a hill overlooking the ocean. His mission was complete. His team was safe. There would be no medals, no recognition, no thanks from the government. That was the way it should be. Wolves did not hunt for glory. His phone buzzed. A message from Admiral Sung-ho. 2 words. "Well done, Tae-ho. Put the phone away." He watched the waves crash against the rocks below. He thought about the little girl who would grow up with scars on her face. He thought about all the children across the galaxy who would sleep safer because of what his team had done. It was not justice. Justice would mean Bora had never been hurt at all. But it was something. It was a message. It was a promise. We protect our own. We always will. The sun set over the ocean, painting the sky red and gold. Tai-ho watched until the last light faded. Then he turned and walked back to the base. Ready for whatever mission would come next? The wolves were always watching, and the galaxy would never forget.